get back to Maya. But Teo, do you trust me? Yes. Then please, let's get back to Maya. The man extended his hand to Annalie. Young Teo is lost, sweetheart, but you know the truth. She faced him, her mouth agape as if she wanted to say something. Teo wanted to grab her and yank her away. I'm sorry, she finally said. I'll have to ask Maya if it's okay. She rescued us. Wait here and I'll be right back. Teo relaxed and released the breath he'd been holding. Fools, the man snarled. You aren't any more the light than I am. The Horde girl lies to you. The man's face twisted into a wicked frown. Lies, all lies. You'll see what I mean before this is over. Your time is yet to come. His perfect skin started to wrinkle and then fall away. Two large wings emerged from the skin and then stretched open. Shattukai. But not like Ruza or any of the other Shattukai. He was much larger, and his eyes shifted colour from blue to gold before settling into a deep, piercing red. The Shattukai opened its jaws and sneered. Annalie stood still, trembling, speechless. Teo stepped in front of her, wishing he had his staff. A scream echoed through the trees. Maya! The beast cackled. Until we meet again, my little foolish darlings. With a swoosh, he swept up to the night sky and was gone. Hurry, Teo cried, grabbing Annalie's hand. What was that? Shattukai, I think. They raced through the forest and into the clearing only to catch a glimpse of several Horde men riding away on horses. Maya was sitting on one of the horses, tied up and slumped over. Annalie fell to her knees, dumbstruck. No! Chapter 9. Annalie paced back and forth in front of Teo. We have to do something. I know. It's our fault she was taken. Why did you leave her? Annalie. She wasn't listening. We have to save her. He tried again. Annalie. What if they hurt her? He grabbed her by the shoulders. We'll find her. We need to put our heads together and think this through. It won't do Maya any good if we stay here freaking out. She bit her lip and nodded. He lowered his hands and took up Annalie's pacing. Okay, well, we need to find our way to the city. I'm sure that's where they've taken her. Right. We'll need to find my staff first. What? Why? Because it's special. It has power, trust me. But we don't even know where it is, she demanded. I had it at Zeke's house, near where the kids were playing. We'll look there. As Maya said, we're Horde, so we won't be noticed, right? She hesitated. Maybe, but how will we find Maya? Teo kept pacing, thinking, why did they take her? I don't know. He stopped and faced her. To draw us back. You think? Why else? They're hoping we'll go and find her. You mean they'll be expecting us? Maybe, but it also means she'll be easy to find. They want us to find her so they can take us, which is why I need to find the staff first. Aren't you listening? What good would a staff do against the Horde? You're delusional. Teo set his jaw. I defeated 100 Shattukai with that staff. It has much more power than you've seen. That stopped her. She could practically see the wheels spinning behind her eyes. She took a deep breath. Please, I can fix this. We'll save her. And she said she knows how to get rid of the disease. Annalie looked in the direction they'd taken Maya and then swallowed. I think it's Maya I have to love before I can find the seal. I despised her in a way because of her skin. I thought she was disgusting. And the smell. Teo let silence rest over them before talking. Well then, we have to save her. Annalie looked back at him. I do love her, you know. If you're right, it's the only way to find the second seal. He paused. Let's go. Annalie and Teo took off under the glow of the moon trying to recall the landmarks or anything remotely familiar. They fled the city, following Maya, without ever thinking they'd return. He wanted to ask Annalie more about Elion and the light, but her silence told him she wasn't ready to talk. In their quiet, he thought about his staff, remembering what it felt like in his hand. He saw it in his mind, pulling him closer. It took them less than an hour to reach the city. The walls stood against the starry sky, tall and ominous as they approached and slowed, keeping a watch for any signs of guards. There were none. Well, that's pretty bright, isn't it? Let's not do that. Annalie stopped, hands on hips, catching her breath. She needed to rest. They both did, but Maya was on the other side of that wall. We'll do it like last time, he whispered. I'll get you up and then you can pull me up. What about you? I climbed it once, I can climb it again. He hoisted her up, which he found to be more difficult than he'd remembered. She pulled herself to the top and then hung over the edge, arm extended. Grab my hand. He reached up to her. Wait, I'm slipping. Then she was out of sight. Ow! Annalie, are you okay? No answer. Annalie? He quickly reached up for a stone jutting from the wall. He was exhausted, hungry, and distracted by the pain of his cracked skin. It took him a few tries with many slips, but he finally found his grip. For all he knew, he could be facing the Horde guard when he landed on the other side, his mind filled with images of Annalie in their big, smelly hands. He climbed until he could maneuver his body over the edge of the wall. He let go. His feet landed hard on the ground next to Annalie. What took you so long? Are you okay? He said, breathing hard. What? Were you worried about me? He ignored her sarcasm. It's harder than it looks without help. He took a moment to catch his breath. We need to find Zeke's house. Teo led the way with Annalie following tightly behind him. They moved through the city they'd escaped hours before, keeping to the shadows in case a Horde guard recognized them. They were no good to Maya if they were caught. You see where the kids were playing? Annalie asked. Anything look familiar? Not yet. Let's keep going. They'd only seen these streets twice, while they were either running for their lives or being held captive. But knowing what he could do once he found his staff refueled his self-confidence. There, he pointed to the alley. We go through there. Keeping close to the wall, they passed through the alley and over the gate. The prison loomed in the distance. Annalie froze. Teo grabbed her hand. It'll be all right. Remember, we look like them. We're two children running around in the night. That doesn't make sense. What if they catch us? I can't go back there. She was right. Despite their new appearance, it was late and the streets were empty. We'll say we're lost. He squeezed her hand and guided her deeper into the city. Over there. To their right was a grassy area with a net set up like a soccer goal, and beyond that, the market. Annalie nodded. Now, which house? I think I know. What's the first thing you remember when we were taken from the house? The smell. And the market. They scurried over to a row of houses that opened up into the now empty market. Theo pointed to a house. That's it. How do you know? I just know. Wait! Annalie grabbed him by the back of his tunic. What if he's in there? Theo hadn't thought about that. Let's look inside. He slipped over to the window, pulled himself up and peered in through the opening. A few chairs sat next to a burning fireplace. Empty. Then he saw it, leaning against the wall. I see my staff. He dropped down. I'm going to crawl in and grab it. You just keep watch out here. Be careful. If you see anyone, run. Teo pushed the window open, climbed through, and eased to the floor inside. He held his breath as he tiptoed across the wooden floor to reach the other side of the room. He made it to the wall and grabbed his staff, feeling the power rushing through him. It was as if he and his staff were one. Had it been calling to him this whole time? Maybe that's why he'd found this house so effortlessly. With the staff in hand, he felt complete again, as if a part of him that had been missing returned. He clambered out of the window and dropped to the ground. I found it. Annalie was staring across the city. And I think I've found Maya. He followed her stare. There on the hillside was a large fire. A tall post stood next to the fire. Someone was bound to that post. Someone small. Maya, Teo breathed, heart hammering in his chest. Look. Whoops. See there, and over in the distance, you can see Maya. Oh dear. Oh dear. They stood paralyzed by fear. He couldn't think straight. It's a trap, he said. They're waiting for us. For a moment, Annalie didn't respond. When she did, her voice was hardly more than a whisper. Tell me again who Elion is. He blinked. Elion is the light. Nothing can threaten him. And you are his son. So, can anything threaten you? Not really, I don't think so, but yes or no, she interrupted. No, Elion said no. And Talia sent us here to find freedom from our fears, right? You trust Talia? Yes, he said. She nodded. We have to go to her. Maya's the only one who can tell me how to get rid of this disease. He tightened his grip on the staff. If I'm Elion's son, you're his daughter, so then nothing can harm you either. I'm already harmed, she mumbled. You've seen my skin, right? I mean, maybe your body can be, but... And then he didn't know what to say because she was right. Maybe they could be harmed. Never mind, she said. She's my only hope. He had nothing else to give, nothing he could put into words. He motioned for her to follow him and took off running straight for the fire on the hill, heart pounding. With each step, he prayed they weren't throwing their lives away. As they got closer to the hill, the scene around Maya came into view, lit by the fire. 3 men stood in front of Maya, Eliezer, Baal, and between them, the man who'd tried to trick them at the river. He'd returned to his beautiful skin, and he was watching them. Too late now, Teo breathed. You'd better be right about Elion, Annalie said. He'd been in a situation like this before, and Elion's staff had showed its incredible power. The memory was the only thing that kept moving his feet forward. My life is in your hands, she said. If this goes badly... She didn't need to finish. Teo ground his teeth and sprinted, screaming straight up the hill toward the beast in disguise. He was only 5 paces away when he lifted his staff over his head and hurled it at the man with all his strength. The beast caught the staff with one hand as Teo slid to a stop, panting. He stared at the man, stunned. The man held the staff in one fist, grinning with amusement. Annalie had stopped behind him, gasping for air. Did you think this was going to help you? The man chuckled. He twirled the staff, examined the wood. Pretty piece of wood. Shame it will have to be destroyed. He broke the staff over his knee and tossed the broken pieces to the side. That, stupid boy, is what Elion means to me. Teo's mouth hung open. Elion's staff lay broken in the dirt. His stomach turned inside out. Maya was strapped to the post behind the man, mouth gagged, eyes focused on Teo. 2 more posts on either side of her were empty. All 3 of them were going to die. 2 Horde men grabbed Annalie and tossed her to the ground next to Teo. It's nice that you finally joined us, the man said, glancing at Maya. We were getting restless, weren't we, Maya? He faced Teo again. I don't think I've formally introduced myself. Some called me Vlad, but you can call me Shadow Man. I could have taken you by force at the river, but it was important that you chose willingly of your own free will. When you refused me in the forest, we went to Plan B. And so here you are, of your own choosing, like a present with a bow on top. Shadow Man squatted down, placing his fingers on both sides of Annalie's cheeks and turning her head to face him. I nearly had you, my dear. You were so eager to be rid of this horrid skin that you almost sold yourself to me. But this is better, though. He patted her cheek and rose. Tie them up.